You can't escape it, right? Weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Mounjaro seem to be absolutely everywhere, and everyone's calling them miracle cures. But what's the real story behind all the headlines? Today, we're going to dig in and break down the science, the risks, and the pretty surprising reality of this new era in treating obesity. Okay, let's get into it. It really all starts with a feeling. For Sarah LeBrock, who had tried basically every diet out there for her entire life, the change was just profound. And it wasn't just about eating less. See, the real change was mental. That constant nagging chatter about food in her head, what some people call food noise, it just stopped. It went quiet. And the results? I mean, they were staggering. Sarah lost 51 kilograms, which is about 112 pounds. Suddenly, for the first time, she had the energy to do things she just couldn't before. It was, as she put it, a whole new kind of freedom. So you hear a story like Sarah's, and it's easy to think, wow, this is it, the answer we've all been waiting for. But is it really that simple? Is this truly a quick fix miracle, or is there a lot more to the story? And that's the big question we really need to tackle. To really get it, we need to peek under the hood at the biology. How in the world did these medications pull off such dramatic results? Well, it all comes down to basically tricking your brain by copying a really powerful hormone that's already in your body. Okay, so the main hero of this story is a hormone called GLP-1. Your gut naturally releases it after you eat, and its whole job is to travel up to your brain and send a very simple, very clear message. Hey, we're good down here, we're full, you can stop eating now. So think of these drugs as a supercharged version of that exact hormone. They mimic GLP-1, they lock onto the receptors in your brain, and they send this powerful non-stop I'm full signal. And the result? Your appetite just plummets, and that distracting food noise we were talking about, it just fades away. Professor Naveed Sattar has this really great way of putting it. He calls the drugs a chemical shield. And this shield helps people deal with what he calls our obesogenic environment. You know, this world we live in where cheap, high-calorie food is just everywhere, all the time. The drug gives you a defense against that constant temptation. Okay, so everything sounds amazing so far. But, and this is a huge but, here's the critical turning point. What happens when you lower that shield? The evidence is becoming very, very clear. When you stop the medication, your body, it fights back. And it fights back hard. While you're on the drug, that food noise is gone. It's quiet. But the moment you stop, man, it comes roaring back. Your brain basically freaks out, thinking the calorie drop was a famine, and it kicks into full-on survival mode. Your hunger hormones surge, and your metabolism, how fast you burn calories, actually slows down to try and save energy. And the result of all that? It's pretty stark. New studies are showing that after just 1 year off the medication, people regained around 60% of the weight they lost. That biological pull to get back to where you started is incredibly strong. So, if stopping the drug just means you'll probably gain the weight back, what's the solution? Well, the answer isn't just in the prescription itself. It's about using the drug as a kind of window of opportunity, a chance to build habits that can actually last. Look, the evidence on this is crystal clear. The people who see the biggest, most sustainable weight loss are the ones who combine the medication with real, meaningful lifestyle changes. The drug gives you the breathing room and the biological help to finally make those changes stick. So how do you actually do that? Well, researchers at Stanford have this fantastic concept they call micro-nudges. The whole point is to make changes that are, and I love this phrase, too small to fail. We're talking about things like swapping just one sugary drink for water, or taking a quick 5-minute walk. These tiny wins build on each other and create real, lasting habits. And this is really important, because if patients just eat a lot less of the same unhealthy food, they're at risk for some serious problems like major nutritional deficiencies. You could see people losing critical muscle mass, which can lead to becoming frail. So you have to ask, without that support, are we just trading one health concern for another? Of course, like any powerful medicine out there, you've got to weigh the pros and cons. There's a balance sheet of risks and rewards that every single person has to think about with their doctor. On the one hand, the most common side effects are things like nausea and other gastrointestinal issues, and there are some more serious but pretty rare risks like pancreatitis. But then you weigh that against the potential benefits, and wow, they are huge. Big studies are linking these drugs not just to weight loss, but to better heart health, to improved sleep apnea, and even to a lower risk of dementia. For a lot of people, the benefits are absolutely life-changing. So after going through all of this, The science, the rebound effect, the lifestyle piece. What is the fundamental truth about these drugs? How should we really be thinking about them?
And here it is. This is probably the most important thing to understand. Obesity is a chronic, relapsing condition. It's a lot like high blood pressure or diabetes. So these drugs aren't a one-time cure that you take for a few months and then you're done. They are a long-term management tool for a long-term condition.
And that brings us to one last big thought to leave you with. We've talked about these drugs as a chemical shield, right? Protecting people from a toxic food environment. But that just begs a much bigger question. If the drugs are the shield, what if we could actually change the environment they're shielding us from in the first place and make it easier for everyone to be healthy?